Welcome back to episode 3 of coffee variables and how to improve your coffee at home. We've spoken about grind size and brew time and agitation. Now, if you haven't watched those, go and check those out. Watch them before you come to this one, as we're now going to be talking about water temperature. Now, water temperature is quite a debate within the industry. Too hot, too cold, too mild, too tepid. There's a lot of speculation around what water temperature does to coffee and how it extracts the soluble content. A lot of guides, a lot of people out there, or the recommendation of water temperature is between 92 and 96 degrees Celsius. Usually when I brew my coffee, I aim between 92 and 96 degrees. Obviously, because once you pull water off the boil, it drops from 100 degrees Celsius pretty quickly. There is quite a bit of theory that, don't use water straight off the boil because you could damage the coffee. I personally don't believe that's true. My opinion of what I have found through personal research, it hasn't affected the way the coffee is tasted. If anything, I think it's almost made it better. Now, bear with me. A lot of you are just going to click out. This guy uses boiling water to make coffee. He doesn't know anything. You're wrong. I'm right. No. The reason I say that is because coffee's roasted at anywhere between 200 degrees, 220 degrees Celsius for a short period amount of time, depending on the roast. Now, if we are going to use water straight off the boil, we're not going to damage that coffee. Now, I know some people would say, oh, it might damage the certain flavor profiles or whatnot. However, I believe that the hotter water is stimulating that extraction to make those lovely flavors open up. I also find if I use hotter water, when my coffee cools down, I get more in-depth and more complex flavors. I would totally recommend giving it a go. And I also recommend giving me a roast if you disagree in the comments. Please don't actually do that. I have very low self-esteem. We'll probably cut that out as well, please, Cameron. Bring on the roast. Bring on the roast. In regards to temperature as well, if you're to take that water straight off the boil and pour it into your coffee bed and make that slurry, it'd be quite interesting if someone actually recorded the temperature of that slurry. And I can guarantee you that it won't be sitting at boiling point as well. I do find though, if you do use water that's probably not between 90 plus degrees, I sometimes find that we under extract it. It's hard to break those coffee flavors down, and I'm sometimes left with quite a thin, not so flavorful or in-depth kind of coffee, just a bit astringent and essentially just giving off those under extraction type flavors, which we've previously talked about in the video. This is when it's really interesting, all of these kind of variables or pain points that you guys might be experiencing start to work together. Right? It all depends on how you grind your coffee. It depends how much you stir or swirl or agitate your coffee. It depends how hot you brew your coffee at as well. That's ultimately going to affect the way that your coffee tastes at your end cup. Speaking of water temperature, we can look at the other extreme where we could look at cold brew and how exciting cold brew is and how that is a slow extraction. Now, cold brew with room temperature or cold water is obviously a slower extraction. We leave it for anywhere between 24 to 48 hours, depending on how you like the brew. And that's because we have colder water involved. The hotter the water, the faster the extraction. Colder water, it would need a lot of time to extract it. And that's why when you make cold brew, it's a steeping method. We actually have just released a cold brew video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. So with all that in mind, things to remember. Ideally using water between 90 to 100 degrees. If you want to play it safe, 92 to 96 degrees, again, down to personal preference. We usually here at BM brew up in the high 90s. I'll play around a little bit, but roughly I'm always between the 92 to 98 and so on degree mark as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this, please don't forget to subscribe. Next up, we have water quality. Stay tuned and we'll catch you soon.